Welcome to Killer Women with your host, best-selling author Danielle Girard. And now, Danielle's next killer woman.
Hello, and welcome to Killer Women Podcast, a proud member of the Authors on the Air global network with more than 4 million listeners. I'm your host, suspense author Danielle Girard, and my guests today are Kathleen Barber and Amayah Shaienne. Kathleen Barber is the author of Truth Be Told, which was adapted into a series on Apple TV, Follow Me, Both Things Are True, and Sisterhood Above All. A certified book coach and former attorney, she lives in Washington, D.C. with her family. And Amayah Shaienne is a lifestyle content creator and student at the University of Alabama who quickly grew a following during Bama Rush. To date, she has garnered a following of nearly 200,000 across TikTok and Instagram and has her audience obsessed with all parts of her college life. She's excited to continue bringing her loyal followers along as she attends key college moments such as sorority rush, football games, and more. And today we are talking about sisterhood above all. All right, ladies, I didn't ask who was going to do the honors of telling us about this book. Before we dig into all the fun things, tell our listeners about Sisterhood Above All.
Yeah, sure. I'll start, and then Amaya, if you have anything to add, you can jump in. So Sisterhood Above All is a really fun thriller set during sorority rush. It's about three different women and kind of their experience with it. So you've got Madison, who is the president of the Gammas, which is kind of, the big sorority on campus. And then you've got Shay, who is the president of the Thetas, which is another big sorority on campus. And then you have Ava, who is a potential new member. She's rushing. She has a tie to the Gammas, but really she's just kind of overwhelmed by the whole thing. And things get out of control pretty fast.
They really, really do. They really do. Amayah, do you want to add to that?
It definitely brings the crazy world of sororities in the South to life and all of the crazy things that happen, minus the murder in real life. But it is an amazing book about the world that I live in, and I'm excited to share it with everyone else.
It's so fun. And it really does bring it back. I'm a few years away from my sorority rush, but boy, all the nerves and all the parties and making and like small talk that feels like it's really important. It's all right back there. So tell me before we kind of dig into the characters, because of course there's a lot to be unpacked. Particularly, Madison, of course, is our alpha female, but Shay and Ava also I love them. But I'm so curious to hear because as I mentioned before we started recording, I've had Katie on the show before. Haven't I, Katie?
I don't think so, actually.
Oh, shoot. Okay, never mind. But Katie and I have known each other for a long time. But anyway, obviously, Amayah, you're brand new to me, so welcome. And I want to hear how this collaboration happened.
Yeah. So, I was also in a sorority when I was in college, which, like you, Danielle, was just a few years ago.
Just a couple.
Just a few. But it was such a big part of my life. And I had been pitching my agent sorority themed ideas for pretty much as long as she's been my agent. But she had never really liked any of the ideas. But she knew that was like an interest of mine. And so a couple summers ago, she was like, "Are you watching this like Bama Rush thing? Like this is what you should be writing about." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes." And she was like, "But it would be better if you could collaborate with somebody who's living that right now." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, that is an amazing idea." And so my agent knows Amaya's agent, and they put us together, and immediately it just felt right. Like I feel like Amayah and I both had the same vision for the project, which was one of the things that I was actually very nervous about going into it. Like I write by myself, and I was like,
Right.
well, what if like this person that they're gonna hook me up with has just a completely different vision or, wants different things. But at least from my perspective, I felt like Amayah and I really wanted the same thing, had the same vision, and so it felt really good. I don't know how you felt, Amayah, but that's how I felt.
Yes, UTA reached out to me after my sophomore year recruitment, which was my first time on the active side of sorority rush. And I was a little nervous because of all the buzz with the Bama Rush documentary and how it didn't satisfy the viewers in the way that, everyone thought it would. So I was a little nervous, but then they told me it was going to be a thriller. It was going to be fun. And they paired me up with Kathleen. And again, we had the same vision and everything really worked out perfectly. It was a match made in heaven.
Okay, so for those of us who I guess had our heads buried in Montana sand 2 years ago, I missed everything about the documentary. So tell us a little bit about sort of like, obviously I'm guessing it was a sort of a not so positive expose of some, sorority type stuff. But what was the flavor of that, and what was your sort of your response, especially for you, Amaya, being there to be like, well, wait a minute, this isn't sort of the whole picture.
Well, my freshman year, when I rushed my sorority, there was talks about a documentary which kind of blew up the entire world because everyone thought everyone was mic'd up. It was a lot of security with that. So I know a lot of girls who actually got kicked out of Rush my year for supposedly being mic'd up. So it was really crazy. But I feel like the documentary actually was a wannabe expose. Did not reveal the things that I wanted to, and I was already in a sorority, so I was a little bit nervous that I would be in it. I was not. Um,
Good.
but it was very surface level and stuff that everyone really already knows. So I feel like this book digs deeper into the sorority world more than that documentary.
Okay, so really didn't get the whole picture.
Not at all.
And for those of us like, I mean, I went to upstate to school at Cornell, upstate New York, so very different kind of sorority rush. And I know, Katie, you also were not you weren't in the South.
No, I went to school at the University of Illinois.
Okay, so
So
right,
we had a
so
huge Greek system, but it was not at all the same sort
But
of
I mean, and
environment.
maybe that's like that just could be my like I just have heard, especially like we hear about like Texas sororities and Alabama is one of the big ones. I mean, it does it's intimidating. I can't imagine. I was steered away from all things South for that re for West. One of the reasons being like that is intense. So is it as intense as Well, is it as intense as it is in the book? Minus the murder.
The book actually is very real and it is a mirror of real life events that could happen and, a few people that I actually know sprinkled in there. But it was very intense. But I had the pleasure of going in blind before I went through recruitment because I'm also from Illinois. So, I had no clue about the stakes of sorority recruitment in the South. So I think that I did the right thing. I didn't do too much research before I rushed. I didn't, do all the preliminary things that I was supposed to do. So going in blind, it was more like interviews than anything. I didn't take it so seriously to the point where I was anxious all the time during that process. So I'm very happy for my senior high school self for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Ava because I think everybody who has been a girl of a certain age can totally commiserate with with how she feels. It is a really just sort of like just all you want when you get to college, right? Is to just find your people and be accepted. And here she's lost her mother at a young age, which is obviously devastating. And she has this legacy thing, which for those people who aren't familiar with the Greek system, maybe you guys can tell us a little bit about what it means to be a legacy. And in this book, of course, it isn't necessarily a guarantee of anything, but it is a thing. I have a lot of friends who were legacy of one house or another. But I want to hear sort of how what were you sort of how did Ava come to be, and how did you guys figure her out? So tell us a little bit about that, because she's to me she was the character sort of she's at the heart of the book.
Yeah, yeah. So Ava is the potential new member who is going through recruitment. And so when we were kind of thinking about kind of like who she would be, we felt like we kind of needed something. She needed stakes, right? She needed something that was like she had to be in this sorority. And so just kind of saying that like, oh, she had to be in the sorority because it was like the cool one didn't feel weighty enough. Um, so one of the things that I remember, my mom was not in a sorority when I was growing up, or my mom was not in a sorority, but one of my best friends' mom was in a sorority, and her sorority had a chapter in the town where we grew up. And she would take us down there and do like things for the active girls. It would like, bring them like little flower baskets on May Day and candy and stuff. And so that had always been kind of in my mind, this kind of way that the sorority is not just for the collegiate experience, it carries on
Yeah.
through life and then can get passed down to your daughter. And I know that when my friend went to college, her mom wanted her to join her sorority, but the chapter was not like the best fit for my friend, so she ended up going somewhere else. And I know she had a lot of emotions about that.
Yeah.
And so that was like something that was in my mind, this kind of like legacy experience. And I think that we thought that adding that pressure, especially because for Ava, it's not just wanting to be in the same chapter as her mother, it's that her mother is dead. And
Yeah.
so this is more than just a sorority legacy. This is like her mother's whole legacy. And so she wants to like continue that. And I think kind of like that's where we are going.
Yeah, of course. And we really wanted to add the legacy aspect to the book because in recent years, legacy has been not as looked at during sorority recruitment as much as GPA and philanthropy and things like that. So we really wanted to add that aspect in as well.
Okay, so wait, Katie, when you went to I mean, first of all, no one ever looked at my GPA. Like, it's so interesting, right? I mean, this was it. When you say it was like, Amaya, you're like, it was more like an interview. I just remember being like showing up in a cute dress and like chit-chatting and hoping that, I didn't come off like a total idiot. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't remember
That
anything like that.
that was one of the things that actually really surprised me. I mean, like I knew that my sorority rush experience, my sorority experience was going to be different than Amaya's. We're in different locations. Again, as you said, it was a few years ago. But I just remember drafting a scene and then sending it to Amayah for her feedback. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember her pointing out something like, "Well, no, they would care about her grades. They would care about these sorts of things." And I was like, "Oh, really?
Right?
Interesting."
It's
So I mean,
so
it was a different experience for me, and it was interesting to learn that.
that, I mean,
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I mean, now that I know that that's actually reality based, I learned a lot too. I mean, is that, do you think, has Southern Rush always been sort of more about like what you're like, sort of does sound like applying for a job versus, or do you think is this something that's changed since, in the 5 years since Katie and I rushed?
I
Okay.
think that sorority recruitment at Alabama specifically is like applying to a job. You have to make a resume before, but I think it's all about being good on paper, which the resume is not like a job resume. You put, the philanthropy that you did, volunteer work, your GPA, your high school, a couple cute pictures of you, and it's like pink and fun and nice. But it's
Very
definitely about
similar except
being
for the
great on
pink part.
paper,
Yeah.
of course, and bringing the whole chapter up, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh. It's so interesting. I'm just curious to know, like, because of course, now that we're digging into the women stuff, like, how does this compare to what it's like for the boys, the men?
The boys have it way easier than us. All they have to do is show up and be good at beer die or beer pong and, shotgun a 30 rack. And that's all they really have to do. From my knowledge, they
Mm.
also have, the people who bring their chapter up with the good GPAs and all the people on exec. But frat rush was definitely different. I used to see them outside and be like, they're playing volleyball. Like, why didn't we, like, if
Right.
this was a sports thing, like, I could have totally, like, done this and it would have been free and fun. But yeah, we have the whole 9-day process of running around in heels and dresses.
Yeah, that's what it was like in Illinois when I was in school too. Like we had this huge, 3 rounds of recruitment and all these like papers to fill out, and the guys would just like stand out on the front yard and just like holler at other guys walking
Oh,
by, like, "Hey, you want to like have a beer?"
right.
And it was just like a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Right. And then just like make cat call at the girls trying to get by walking all around because these are big campuses, right? I mean, Cornell is a pretty big campus, but I'm sure it wasn't nearly as big. It's not nearly as big as Alabama. And Katie, where were you?
I was at the University of Illinois,
Yeah, so
which
huge
is
campuses,
huge.
right?
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like walking all up, up and down. And for us, we rushed in January, which
Oh,
I know, unusual, right? So we rushed second semester. So it was upstate New York in
oh,
January.
Oh, so
yeah.
You're
cold.
walking around in heels, but it's also like in 4 feet of snow kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I would want more because it is so incredibly hot in Alabama in
Sure.
August that your makeup is sweating off, stuff like that. So for hair and makeup purposes, I might pick the cold, but I definitely am like I wouldn't be able to wear a coat during rush.
Yeah, not for shoe wear. You would not. Yeah, you would not.
No.
True.
You would not have picked that. But okay, that yeah, of course it's easier for the boys. Isn't that sort of just all we had to say was it was easier for the boys, period, about all of life. So okay, so this is interesting. So okay, you mentioned that you like would draft something and send it to Amayah. How did you organize the sort of, did you plot, did you guys map the whole story out and then sort of divide and conquer, or did you do a draft and how did that work?
Yeah, so we got together over Zoom a couple times to kind of talk about the themes of the book, like how we wanted things to go. Gosh, Danielle, though, it has been so long, I can't remember like exactly. I know we like did several brainstorming sessions over Zoom, and then I would like write out an outline and send it to Maya, and she would, give me her comments, and then we would work together to revise it into something that we are both happy with. I don't know about you, I personally cannot actually write to an outline. I aspire to write to
I
an
know.
outline.
Yeah.
So we ended up changing some things along the way, but it was more of like, an iterative thing. Like I would write some and we would get back together and talk about the way that like things were going and what we should add and what kind of, you know, what the character's motivations might be in this moment and that sort of thing.
So you
Yeah.
didn't, there's 3 points of view. You didn't sort of just like every bit like write different ones.
No.
No, no,
She did the writing. I like did the consulting and what would actually happen, and we would talk about what would come next, like what the parties were like, what the mixers were like, and stuff like that. And she made an incredible little slide deck of the characters and what they would do before we started. So kind of getting those like archetypes of the people that we would see in the book.
I love that. So you said your agent spoke to Katie's agent. Does that mean is this your first involvement in a book or do you have
Yes, this is my
okay.
first one. It's really
All
exciting.
all right. So now do you imagine yourself now doing something along these lines? I mean, are you
Honestly, it
working
was
on
an
something?
incredible experience, and I would love to work with Kathleen again on something else. But overall, I don't think I could bring my own role to life like she did. I'm definitely not a writer, but I had so much fun during the process and would love to continue along this path.
Well, she's also had a lot of experience, right? This is not her. I mean, I don't
It's
know
not my
about
first
Katie, but it
rodeo.
was my first book. I was like, I'm not a writer either, right? It took a while before. In fact, even now, I'm 17 books, and I'm like, I guess maybe now I'm a writer. Well,
I
that's
think you
about
earned it.
yeah. So, Katie, tell me about this. Like, as you were, was it a different type of pressure because you knew you were sort of you're drafting for an audience
Yes.
who was vested?
Yes, yes. You know, I know that as a writer, I should write and I should share it with my critique group and all of these things, but I never do that. I never do that. I write the book in secret, like a hermit, and then I send it to my agent, and then I just like wait to see what she says. So writing it in collaboration with somebody felt really kind of scary. I was like, oh my God, what if she thinks it's stupid? What if she like
Right.
what if she reads my first draft and it's like, oh my God, because my first drafts are never very good.
No,
She's like,
they're called
what
shitty
if
first
my
drafts for a reason, I think.
yeah. And it's like, what have I gotten into? So it was definitely different. I was also just kind of nervous about the idea of like working with somebody because writing is usually so solitary, but Amaya made it so much fun. I actually really, really enjoyed like getting to talk out the ideas with somebody else in a way that I hadn't expected.
Okay, and let's talk about our bad boy because I have to say, I don't know if every woman just has this big soft spot for a bad boy, but this bad boy in particular was really lovely.
Yeah, I also have a soft spot for Christian. You know, I know that like the book is about the women. Um, but I don't know. I just had this idea of him in my head when I started drafting,
Mhm,
and I was happy we were able to find a way to work him in.
mhm.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything that's going to give away the ending, but I will say that like some of the bookstagrammers who have gotten early copies have been like messaging me specifically about him.
I know, me too. I'm like, I want to see him. Like, who would you have you done the fun thing? Well, you have had this experience. I've never had a book made into television. So you kind of have had that like real life experience. Did you guys talk about like who would play each of these characters? Because I'm just curious to know who would be. I mean, the ladies for sure, but also who would play Christian.
Oh,
I
oh,
think Christian is such like a Jacob Elordi
oh.
like type.
Oh,
And
David
this
Lord.
is mainly just because of Euphoria and Nate Jacobs and his kind of bad boy persona and that. But what I envision, Christian, I envision the guys that I associate with that who are like real life people who went to my school, so I can't say those
Yeah.
names.
Good thought. Yeah, yeah, gotta protect them.
Yeah. I am terrible with the casting
Yeah.
game. I can like I see the people in my head and I don't know how to like translate that
Yeah.
to actual people. So sorry, Danielle.
No, I'm the same. And actually, I think I don't even know enough of the young actors that I would be picking people who are probably now like in their 30s and it would not fit so much. But no, I agree. And I actually one of the things I really appreciate about a lot of these characters is the sort of like multifacetedness, right? Like Christian isn't just one thing, right? And that's we won't talk more about him because, like you said, it's a really fun. Stuff. And then there were some characters who were sort of more like what you expected from fraternity boys, and sorority girls for sure too. And then okay, so when you did this, and I agree, I'm not an outliner either. You knew sort of you knew those characters. Did you kind of did you always know you were going to write the three points of view? Was that sort of how it was? Well, anything big? I guess I'm always curious to know if something huge changed after the first draft.
I don't think so. I don't know if you remember anything, Amayah, but I think we always started out with three characters. Um, I know that the ending changed at one point because we sent it to our editor and she was like, oh no, this cannot be the ending."
Interesting.
So we had to rewrite it. I mean, like she had good points. And so we ended up rewriting that. No, I don't know if you remember, but I don't think
Yeah,
anything.
I it always started with three characters just because we had so many perspectives and it would have been hard to write something just from one person's perspective, especially like in the house, out of the house, being a PNM, being an active, being a president, and doing all the things. So we definitely wanted to make it multiple point of views for that reason, just to get the entire story and what everyone's doing all at the same time because this is a short period of time.
Yeah.
And it goes by so fast that like you can even miss something as, a main character in the situation. So everything going on all at once was definitely like what we wanted to capture.
Yeah. And I love it. PNM, preliminary new member.
Uh
Potential.
Potential new member, yes.
Close. I knew it was something like that. Okay. Okay, so now now that you're sort of in the middle, you're what year now?
I just finished my senior year.
Oh, you just graduated. Congratulations.
Yes, it was definitely done on purpose. So I went to release, like I'd have no obligations to an organization. I'm like, okay, guys, like if anyone's mad at me, like I'm
That's
out.
very because that's interesting because you mentioned that it was a long time ago that you guys are writing this, and I was trying to figure out the gap, but that makes a lot of sense. So yeah. Well, can you tell us, Katie, what you're working on? What thing you're working on now?
Oh, well, I wrote a draft of something. It's another rom-com like my last one before this book, and I sent it to my agent last week, and she has not immediately responded. So clearly, this means that she hates it and is ready to drop me. But no,
Yes. I love that your mind goes exactly where my mind would go.
yeah,
It's been a
like
whole week.
I know. Well, I think it's maybe been about like 4 days actually, but
Oh, it's
like,
yeah. Okay. Well,
it feels like a week,
yeah.
like clearly. No, so I'm actually just trying to focus on getting ready for the launch because the book comes out 6 weeks from today, on
That's
July 14. And
so exciting. And what will you guys be doing for the launch?
so we're having a launch party at Anderson's Bookshop in Naperville. Illinois.
which
Okay.
is my hometown. So all my family's coming. Everyone's very excited. It's literally like 5 minutes away from me. And I used to go there in like middle school. So I had my sister send all of her teammates the link and everything like that. I'm like, everyone needs to come. And it's also 2 days after my birthday. So I'll be hosting my birthday party like after the
I
book
love it.
launch.
I love it. And so you're going to Illinois then from DC.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I grew up in Illinois.
Yes.
And so some of my sorority sisters are still in the Chicago area. So I did send around a link being like, hey guys.
Yes. Come on, you got
So
to
we'll see.
represent.
Yeah.
You need some.
Yeah, but then we come back to DC on Thursday, July 16, and are doing an event at E City Bookshop. And Angie is going to join us, Angie Kim. Allison Buchel is going to join us in Naperville. So I'm excited about both of those.
Oh my God, that's so fun. I love this. Okay. Well, tell our listeners, where to find you guys on socials, where to follow, like what's happening with the book, and particularly, how to find out what are all the exciting things you guys are up to.
Yeah. So you guys can follow me at my website, which is kathleenbarber.com. I have a Substack that I occasionally post to. It's called Off Duty Novelist. And my Instagram is Kate Lays a Bee. So it's usually better to see it in text, but
Yes, right. But yeah, I think once we'll hook you in, we'll tag you on this, and
okay.
you'll be easier to find. But the KathleenBarber.com. And how about you, Amayah? What's the best way to find you?
All my platforms are Maya Shy. It also looks better on paper because people don't know how to pronounce my middle name, but everything is the same on TikTok, Instagram, X, if you have it.
I know all the things. Okay, and yeah. So Amayah, I'm going to spell that in case you're listening to us and not watching. Amayah is spelled Amayah, and the shy part is at Shai.
Yes.
Okay, Amayah Shy and Kate. Let's do the Elizabeth. It's Kate.
Okay. It's Kateelizabee.
Yes, I know I'm following you, but I'm like I can't remember exactly what it looks like either.
I know.
Okay, so
There are too many other Kathleen Barbers. I did not get
I
my own
know what a
names.
pain in the butt. For all of you, that are listening, also we will be giving away a copy of Sisterhood Above All, either on our Instagram page, Killer Women Podcast, or over on Facebook at Danielle's Killer Women. So take a look for that. And if you happen to be in Naperville or DC, you get to go in live. But otherwise, pick this up. It was super fun. It's actually kind of a perfect summer read. And it really did take me back to being 18 again. My God. So thank you both so much for joining me today. This was so
Yeah.
fun.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you.
Danielle.
Absolutely. Everyone, this was Killer Women with Kathleen Barber and Amayah Cheyenne and Sisterhood Above All. And we will see you next time. Bye.